I came to visit my daughter unannounced, and the first thing I noticed was a strange car parked in her spot, a cherry red Mazda I'd never seen before. Something felt wrong. When I stepped into her apartment through the cracked door, I saw him, my son-in-law, caressing another woman. His voice whispered with lust. "You're so captivating, babe. Nothing like my wife." Those crude words made my skin crawl. How dare he do something so disgusting in my daughter's own home? But I knew I couldn't act rashly. I needed a smarter plan to expose him. So I did something that made them both go pale when the truth came out. I'm grateful you're here with me. Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment below. Where are you watching this from, and what time is it where you are? Now, let me take you back to that rainy October afternoon when everything changed. The October rain in Portland doesn't announce itself with drama. It arrives quietly, misting the windshield of my Ford F-150 as I merge onto I-205 South. 62 years in the Pacific Northwest taught me that fall rain isn't something you wait out, it's something you drive through. I hadn't planned this visit. Tuesday afternoons were usually reserved for my Beaverton shop, reviewing inventory with my manager. But when Lauren called last night, her voice bubbling with excitement about her promotion, marketing manager at 30, I couldn't help myself. My little girl was now leading a team at one of Portland's fastest-growing tech companies. I grabbed the bottle of champagne I'd been saving and headed toward the Pearl District. The drive from West Lynn took 30 minutes, enough time to think about how proud her mother would have been. Linda passed 6 years ago, leaving me with 3 auto shops and a daughter I'd do anything to protect. Luke, my son-in-law, had always seemed right for her. I'd even helped him get his job at Tech Vista Solutions. When he asked for Lauren's hand 3 years ago, I believed him. The Civic condominiums rose 12 stories over Northwest Gleason Street, all glass and steel. I pulled into the underground garage, heading to the resident level, where Lauren kept her assigned space number 247, which had cost her $28,000. As I turned into her section, my foot hit the brake. A cherry red Mazda CX-5 sat in spot 247, not Lauren's silver Honda Accord. I parked in a visitor space 2 rows away, engine still running, staring at the unfamiliar car. Lauren was in Seattle until tomorrow night. The spot should have been empty. Maybe Luke had a coworker visiting, maybe it was a friend, maybe it was nothing. But 35 years building a business from 1 garage bay to 3 locations taught me to trust my instincts. And my instincts said something was wrong. I took the champagne and rode the elevator to the 12th floor. The hallway smelled like Lavender Lauren's cleaning solution, a habit she'd picked up from her mother. Soft jazz drifted from behind their door. It was slightly open, which wasn't unusual. Lauren always left it ajar when she was home. I lifted my hand to knock. That's when I heard his voice. "You're so captivating, babe." Luke's voice softer than I'd ever heard it. Intimate. Wrong. Lauren's at that conference in Seattle until tomorrow night. We have the whole evening. You keep saying that. What if she comes back early? She won't. Trust me. I know how to handle Lauren. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, drowning out the jazz. The red Mazda downstairs suddenly made sense, and that realization turned my stomach. This wasn't the voice of a husband missing his wife. It was the voice of a man who'd been lying so long he no longer recognized truth. Every instinct screamed at me to kick the door open, to grab Luke by the collar, and end this the way my father's generation would have, with fists and fury. To protect my daughter by destroying the man betraying her. But I didn't move. Something stopped me, the same calculating part of my mind that had built Bradford Auto Services into a $3 million operation. The part that knew information was more valuable than impulse. What I'd heard wasn't enough. Luke could deny it, twist it, charm his way out. He could look Lauren in the eyes and make her doubt her own father. If I confronted him now, I'd get a fight, maybe some satisfaction, but not the truth. If I truly wanted to protect my daughter, I needed something undeniable. I needed proof. So I pushed the door open, slowly, silently. The jazz music masked the soft creak of the hinges. Their living room opened before me, the same space where we'd celebrated Christmas 3 months ago, where Luke and I had watched the Seahawks lose while Lauren made chili. Now it felt like a crime scene. Luke sat on the charcoal sectional, the one Lauren had spent weeks choosing. Next to him, far too close, was a blonde woman in her late 20s, wearing a fitted blue dress that belonged in a cocktail bar, not a Tuesday afternoon. His hand rested on her thigh. "Lauren works too much anyway." Luke's voice carried that practiced intimacy of someone who'd said these words before. "She doesn't even notice what I do anymore. This us. This is what keeps me sane. The blonde tilted her head against his shoulder. You keep saying, soon. When are you actually going to tell her? When do we stop hiding? Soon. Luke's fingers traced higher on her leg, and my vision tunneled. Once everything's in position, her father's sitting on nearly $3 million in those auto shops. 3 locations, all paid off prime real estate. Once I convince Lauren to get power of attorney, say the old man's getting forgetful needs, help managing things, we can start moving assets around. He laughed low and calculated. By next year, we'll have access to everything. The old fool won't even see it coming. My daughter wasn't married to a cheater. She was married to a con man. My hand shook as I pulled my phone from my jacket, but decades of steady mechanical work kept me from dropping it. I raised it slowly, angling to capture both faces in the lamplight. Record! 90 seconds. That's all I needed. Luke leaning in to kiss her neck, the blonde laughing, running her fingers through his hair, his voice clear as a courtroom confession. Trust me, baby. By this time next year, we'll control everything. Bradford won't know what hit him. The sound of my own last name in his mouth made my jaw clench. At second 87, the blonde shifted. Her eyes swept toward the door, toward me. I pulled back, heart hammering like a misfiring engine. Had she seen me? Had the phone's glow given me away? The jazz kept playing. Their voices continued uninterrupted. I backed into the hallway, the champagne bottle still clutched in my other hand. Ridiculous now, a symbol of every naive assumption I'd made about Luke Reed. The elevator was too risky. If they left, if they decided to grab dinner or anything else, I'd walk right into them. I found the stairwell at the hall's end and pushed through. 12 floors down. My knees protested by floor 8, my lungs burned by floor 4, but I didn't slow down. I burst into the parking garage, the fluorescent lights harsh after the dim stairwell. The red Mazda still sat in 247, mocking me. I climbed into my truck and locked the doors, sitting there for a full minute trying to breathe. My phone felt impossibly heavy in my hand. On its screen, 90 seconds that would destroy my daughter's marriage. Or save her life. I started the engine and pointed the truck toward Hillsborough, toward George Anderson, the man who'd helped me through Linda's death, through every business crisis, through 30 years of friendship. He'd helped me navigate this nightmare, too. George Anderson opened his door in Hillsborough at 9 o'clock, took one look at my face, and said, "Come in. Whatever it is, we'll handle it." That was George. No questions, no hesitation. Just the quiet reliability of a man who had stood beside me through Linda's death, through the years when Bradford Auto barely survived, through every crisis that shaped the last 3 decades of my life. His home office smelled of leather and old books. He poured me 2 fingers of bourbon without asking, set it down, and sat across his mahogany desk. Talk. So I did. I told him about the red Mazda, about the voices behind the door, about what I saw when I pushed it open. Then I placed my phone between us. 90 seconds, I said, that's all. George hit play. His jaw tightened with every passing second. When it ended, he set the phone down carefully as if it were dangerous. Luke, he asked. Luke. And the woman? Kelly, probably a coworker at Tech Vista. George stood and faced the window, hands clasped behind his back, staring into the dark yard. When he turned around, his expression was grim. Scott, if you show Lauren this now, Luke will deny everything. He'll say it's edited claim you're controlling. Say you never liked him. Men like him survive by manipulating, and Lauren loves him. Love blinds people. So I do nothing, I snapped. No, George, cut in. You gather more. Photos, timelines, patterns. You hire a private investigator. You build something airtight. He leaned forward, the same focus he used in high-stakes negotiations. But what worries me more is money. Check your finances. Check Lauren's accounts. Luke mentioned your assets. That wasn't pillow talk. That was planning. The bourbon curdled in my stomach. 3 months ago, he asked about my retirement fund, estate planning, wills, business transfers if something happened to me. George's eyes darkened, and you answered. He's family. I stopped. I thought he cared. What else? I replayed the past months. He's been asking about my health, telling me to slow down, talking about retirement. George nodded. He's positioning himself. I've seen this before. Older parent, valuable assets, questions about competence. If something happened to you, who controls the shops? Lauren. And who influences Lauren? The realization hit hard. Her husband. George's voice dropped. This isn't just an affair. It's your life's work. Your legacy. Maybe even an attempt to have you declared unfit so control passes through her. I stood abruptly, rage replacing shock. What do I do? Tomorrow, hire the best investigator in Portland. Follow Luke and Kelly. Then call your lawyer. Lock down your estate. Change your will if needed. Make sure Luke Reed can't touch a dollar without safeguards. He gripped my shoulder. And don't tell Lauren yet. I drove home through rain that had turned into a downpour, George's warning echoing. What if this wasn't about lust? What if Luke had been calculating everything for months, maybe years? I needed the full truth before I could protect my daughter. Because if George was right, Lauren wasn't just married to a cheater. She was married to a predator. The next morning I did something that went against every instinct. Screaming inside me, I acted normal. I woke at 6, made coffee, and drove to my Beaverton shop as if it were any other Wednesday. Tony, my manager, asked if I was feeling okay. I must have looked rough after a night without sleep. Just tired, I said, burying myself in paperwork that didn't need me. At 10, I called Lauren. Dad. Her voice was bright and energetic. I was just about to call you. The conference was amazing. They loved my presentation on the new campaign strategy. And guess what my VP said? I'm being considered for regional director next quarter. I tightened my grip on the phone and forced enthusiasm into my voice. That's wonderful, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Dad. And Luke's been incredible. He took care of everything while I was gone, groceries, cleaning the place, even fixed that leaky faucet. I'm lucky to have him. Every word cut deep. My brilliant daughter praising the man who was quietly planning to rob her blind. The same man who'd mocked me while his mistress sat on Lauren's couch. Yeah, I managed. Lucky. You okay? You sound off. Busy day at the shop, I said quickly. Customers waiting. Love you. Love you too, Dad. I ended the call and stared at my office wall for a long minute. Protecting Lauren meant letting her stay happy for now. Ignorance painful as it was bought time. By 2 o'clock I was downtown in a building most people never noticed. Gray brick, no signage, 3rd floor access by keycard only. Carl Stevens worked out of places like that. His office was bare metal desk, filing cabinets, advanced computer setup. Carl was lean, late 40s, with eyes trained to notice what others missed. Mr. Bradford, he said, shaking my hand firmly. George Anderson spoke highly of you. Said you needed discretion. And results. I provide both, he replied, motioning to a chair. Start talking. I laid everything out. Luke Reed, 34 sales manager at Tech Vista Solutions. Kelly Walsh, co-worker, an affair. Financial questions. Possible plans involving my assets. Carl took notes efficiently. You have proof. I showed him the 90-second video. His pen stopped. That's solid, he said, but not enough. I want everything. Photos, timeline, patterns, financial activity, accounts, transfers, anything unusual. And your daughter? She can't know. Not yet. Carl nodded. This level of investigation takes time. A week for initial findings, 2 weeks for a full report. Cost, $3,500, half up front. I pulled cash from my jacket money I'd withdrawn that morning and placed it on his desk. All of it. Start today. Carl raised an eyebrow but accepted it. Most people don't pay in full. Most people aren't dealing with a son-in-law trying to steal $3 million. He stood and shook my hand again. I'll be in touch. And change your locks. Update passwords. Remove his access to anything important. I stepped outside into unexpected October sunshine. For the first time since the garage, I felt like I was moving instead of reacting. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Luke. Hey, Dad, lunch? Tomorrow at noon. Jake's Grill. Need to talk about Lauren's future. My stomach tightened. Lauren's future, not our future. I typed back, see you then, and began preparing for whatever poison he'd planned to serve with lunch. The next day at noon, I met Luke at Jake's Grill. Downtown, forcing myself to smile like the trusting father-in-law he believed me to be. The restaurant buzzed with the lunch crowd, business suits, tech workers, familiar downtown faces. Jake's was famous for steaks and discretion, its high-backed booths, designed for private conversations. Luke had chosen it carefully. Or maybe he always chose carefully when he was lying. He arrived 5 minutes late, full of apologies and warmth. Sorry, Dad. Meeting ran long. You know how it is. I did. No problem, son. We ordered and made small talk. The Blazers' rough start. Lauren's new responsibilities. Luke played the devoted husband flawlessly, worrying aloud that she was working too hard while clearly enjoying her success. Then he shifted. Dad, I've been meaning to talk to you. He leaned forward, voice soft and sincere. You look worn down lately. Running 3 shops at 62 is a lot. Are you sleeping? Okay. Any health issues I should know about? I'm fine, I said evenly. Healthy as ever. It's just... He paused. Lauren and I worry about you being alone in that big house in West Lynn. Ever thought about downsizing? Or maybe another pause retirement communities? I cut into my steak. I'm 62, not 82. Of course he laughed lightly. I mean assisted living. Some are incredible now. 7,000 a month gets full care medical staff, activities, pools. Like a resort. He was selling it hard. Just planning ahead. Planning for a future where I wasn't independent. That's thoughtful, I said, but I'm not ready. No, no, he waved it off. Just exploring options. And speaking of planning, have you updated your estate plan, your will power of attorney? There it was. Why do you ask? I want Lauren protected, he said smoothly. If something happened to you, she shouldn't deal with legal headaches. You've built an amazing business, $3 million in assets. That's her inheritance. I just want to help her manage it when the time comes. When, not if. Everything's handled, I replied. Same lawyer for decades. That's great, he smiled. But maybe we should sit down together. You meet Lauren, your lawyer. She should understand the business, so she's prepared. Prepared to take control when he decided I was finished. I'll think about it. The server brought the check. Luke grabbed it instantly, pulling out a blue credit card. My treat, he said. You've done so much for us. I recognized the card immediately. It was from the emergency account I'd created for Lauren, $50,000 for her security. Luke was a joint holder for convenience. He was paying for lunch with my daughter's money. With my money. I watched him sign confident and practiced, then slipped the card away like it was nothing. Thanks for lunch, I said, and for caring about my future. Always Dad, your family. I stepped into the gray afternoon, my thoughts razor sharp. Luke wasn't just betraying my daughter. He was positioning himself to take everything I'd built. 3 shops, 35 years of work, my legacy. I was the obstacle between him and $3 million. An obstacle he planned to remove by declaring me incompetent and locking me into a $7,000 prison, disguised as comfort. But Luke had made one mistake. He underestimated how far a father would go to protect his daughter. And he had no idea the old man he dismissed as a fool was already 10 steps ahead. Monday evening, 5 days after hiring Carl, I sat at my home office desk in West Lynn and did something I'd never done before I accessed the joint emergency account I'd set up for Lauren 3 years ago. The account had started with $50,000 meant for real emergencies, medical crises, car breakdowns, job loss, not funding my son-in-law's affair. I logged into the bank portal. My credentials still worked as the account's creator. When the transaction history loaded, my stomach dropped. The balance read $18,000. $32,000 gone in 6 months. I scrolled slowly, each entry hitting harder than the last. March 15th, transfer to K. Walsh, $3,200. April 2010th, transfer to K. Walsh, $6,800. May 8th, Tiffany & Co., $8,500. Then smaller withdrawals, $700, $1,000. Cash taken out over weeks totaling $13,500. Every transaction authorized by Luke. Access I'd given him for convenience when he married my daughter. I took screenshots of everything, dates, amounts, memo codes that probably meant something to him and Kelly. Birthdays, inside jokes, a private language built on stolen money. My email chimed. Subject Carl Stevens, case update. I opened it calmer than I expected. This was why I'd hired him. Preliminary results attached. Call if you need clarification. More to come. 12 photographs filled my screen. Luke and Kelly at Blue Star Donuts, laughing, his hand resting comfortably on her back. Luke and Kelly sharing a sandwich at a cafe, heads close looking like any couple on a lunch date. Luke and Kelly entering the Sunset Motel on Powell Boulevard. Timestamp, 1:47 p.m. They left at 3:12, her hair different, his collar adjusted. Another motel. Another day. 5 visits total, all mid-afternoon, all while Lauren was working trusting him. A PDF opened next, Carl's timeline. Subject maintains contact with K. Walsh 2 to 3 times weekly. Pattern consistent, over 4 months. Red Mazda observed at residence 6 times, while wife confirmed out of town. 6 times. Luke had brought his mistress into my daughter's home 6 times. I called George. You were right, I said. He's stealing. $32,000 from Lauren's emergency account. Transfers to Kelly. Jewelry. Cash. George swore softly. And the photos? Cafes, restaurants, motels, 4 months of evidence? That's your case, he said. Affair plus theft. So I tell Lauren. No. His voice hardened. Not yet. If you show her this, Luke will deny it. Say you're controlling. Say the photos are misleading. Love will make her doubt. Then what? She has to see it herself. Not pictures, not statements. The actual betrayal. Otherwise, he'll twist it. I stared at the motel photo, Luke guiding Kelly toward room 147. How do I make that happen? You engineer it, George said. Create a moment so clear he can't explain it away. I thought about Luke's smooth lies, his practiced concern, how easily he played innocent. George was right. If I confronted Lauren with evidence, it would become an argument. Luke would cry, minimize, turn me into the villain. But if Lauren caught him herself, there would be no spin. Okay, I said. I'll figure it out. Do it fast, George warned. The longer this goes on, the more money he steals. And men with plans this big don't like obstacles. After the call, I sat alone staring at 12 photos, $32,000 of theft, and 4 months of calculated betrayal. I had everything I needed to destroy Luke Reed. Now I had to create the moment where my daughter would see the truth with her own eyes. Because time was running out. Friday evening at Lauren and Luke's apartment would become the stage for my next move. I arrived at 7 with a bottle of wine and the smile I'd perfected over 40 years of negotiating deals I didn't believe in. Luke opened the door, wearing the expression that had fooled everyone for years. Warm, welcoming, the devoted son-in-law. Scott, come in. Lauren's just finishing up in the kitchen. I stepped inside and immediately noticed the new artwork on the wall. Expensive. Probably $8,000 worth of my daughter's emergency fund. Dinner was salmon and roasted vegetables. Lauren talked animatedly about her new marketing campaign eyes, bright with the same passion her mother once had. Luke played his role flawlessly attentive husband, asking thoughtful questions, refilling her wine. I waited until dessert. I've been thinking, I said calmly, setting down my fork, about my health, about the future. Lauren looked worried. Dad, are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart. Just practical. I turned to Luke, watching him closely. George and I have been discussing estate planning, the shops, the retirement accounts, the properties. It's time I simplified things. Transfer some assets into Lauren's name while I'm still sharp enough to decide. Luke's grip tightened around his glass just for a second. That's very thoughtful of you, he said, voice perfectly measured. When were you thinking? Monday morning, 10 o'clock, at George's office. I'd like you both there. Of course, Luke said immediately. Too immediately. We'll be there. Lauren squeezed my hand. Dad, you don't have to. I want to, I said. You've earned it. Both of you. The lie burned going down. I left around 9:30, hugging my daughter a little longer than usual. Sitting in my truck, I checked my phone. At 9:47 p.m., Carl's message came through. Target sent multiple texts. Meeting scheduled Saturday, 2:00 p.m. Location Riverwood Lounge, NW 21st AV, confirmed. KW replied, Finally, we need to talk about Monday. Perfect. I watched the light in Lauren's apartment for a moment, then called her. Dad, did you forget something? Yes, I said lightly. Those estate documents George prepared, I left them at my place. Could you stop by tomorrow afternoon around 2:30? Sure, she said. I have errands anyway. I'll leave them on the kitchen counter. Use your key if I'm not home. Okay. Love you. Love you too. I ended the call and pulled up the address Carl had sent. Riverwood Lounge sat on Northwest 21st Avenue, right in the Pearl District. My house in West Lynn was 28 minutes away by highway, but the scenic route through downtown passed directly by Northwest 21st, past a lounge with floor-to-ceiling windows, where anyone walking or driving by could clearly see who was sitting inside. At 2:30 tomorrow, Lauren would be driving through downtown on her way to my house, and I'd make sure she took that route. I started the engine, a cold satisfaction settling in my chest. Luke thought Monday was his moment, the day he'd start controlling my assets through my daughter's signature. Tonight, he'd panic. Tomorrow, he'd meet Kelly to reassure her that everything was on track. But Monday would never arrive the way Luke imagined. I allowed myself one brief moment of raw emotion, the fury of a father who'd spent 6 days watching his daughter smile at the man robbing her blind. Then I locked it away. Rage was messy. What I needed now was precision. Luke Reed had miscalculated everything. He underestimated a father's love, a businessman's patience, and the simple truth that men who build empires from nothing don't surrender them to thieves. Tomorrow at 2:30 p.m., the truth would stop hiding, and Luke Reed would face every consequence he earned. Saturday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The rain had returned to Portland, soft, persistent, the kind that soaked you before you realized you were wet. I sat in booth 6 at the Riverwood Lounge, separated from Luke and Kelly in booth 5 by a thin wooden partition. They had no idea I was there. You said you'd leave her after the wedding. Kelly's voice carried panic. That was 2 years ago, Luke. Things got complicated. Luke's tone was smooth, practiced. "But this is it. The old man's about to hand everything over. Once I control the accounts and get him into that nursing home, I'll be free. We'll be free." My phone was already recording. "You keep saying that," Kelly shot back. "What if Lauren finds out?" Luke laughed. "She won't. And even if she suspects something, she'll never believe it. I'm the perfect husband. I know exactly how to play her. And what about me? I'm tired of being the secret Luke. You want jewelry trips. You'll have everything once I control his assets. $2.8 million. The old man's businesses. Just be patient." I stopped recording at 2:24 p.m. and dialed Lauren. "Hey, Dad. I'm about 10 minutes from your house. Change of plans, sweetheart. Meet me at the Riverwood Lounge, 128 Southwest River Drive. Booth number 5. It's important." "The Riverwood, Dad, what's going on?" "Please, just come. 2:30. You'll understand." At 2:32 p.m., Lauren walked through the door. I stood near booth 6, and she spotted me immediately. "Dad, what's—" I took her hand. "There's something you need to see. I'm so sorry." I led her to booth 5. Luke saw her first, his face drained of color. "Lauren, what? What are you doing here?" Kelly started to stand. I stepped forward. "Sit down, Ms. Walsh." Lauren's gaze moved from Luke to Kelly. "Who is this, Dad? What's happening? This is—" "She's just a colleague," Luke stammered. "We're discussing a work project." "A work project." I pulled out my phone. "Is that what you call it?" I hit play. The 90-second video from Lauren's apartment. Luke's voice filled the booth. "Lauren works too much anyway. She doesn't notice half of what I do." Lauren's hand flew to her mouth. Tears formed in her eyes, but she didn't look away. When it ended, I played the second video. 5 minutes ago. Luke's voice. "Once I control the accounts and get him into that nursing home, I'll be free. We'll be free." "Lauren, listen." Luke's voice turned desperate. "Your father's paranoid. He's been following me. He's getting old confused." "I'm 62 and I run 3 successful businesses," I said coldly. "You're 34 and you can't stay faithful to your wife, who's confused." I handed Lauren my phone, the banking app open. "Look at your emergency fund." She scrolled through the transactions. $3,200, $6,800, $8,500 at Tiffany & Co. "You stole from me." Her voice broke. $32,000. I can explain. He bought her jewelry, I said. $8,500 at Tiffany's. Want to see the bracelet she's wearing? Kelly pulled her wrist under the table. "Tell her about the nursing home plan." I continued. "Tell my daughter how you were going to have me declared incompetent so you could control the business accounts." Lauren turned to Luke, her tears replaced by anger. "Is that true? You wanted to put my father in a nursing home to steal from us?" "No, Lauren, I love you. This is all a misunderstanding." "Don't." Her voice cut through his protest. "Just don't say another word." She stood slowly twisting the wedding band and engagement ring off her left hand. She set them on the table between her and Luke. The diamonds caught the dim light. "Take me home, Dad." Luke grabbed for her hand. "Lauren, please." I stepped between them. "Touch my daughter again and you'll regret it." Luke froze. Lauren was already walking toward the door. I followed her out into the rain. The moment we cleared the entrance, her legs buckled. I caught her, held her as her body shook with sobs. Rain soaked both of us within seconds, but through her grief, I heard something that gave me hope, not just pain, but anger. Cold, determined anger. "He tried to hurt you," she whispered. "He tried to take everything from us." "I know, sweetheart. I was so stupid I trusted him." "No." I pulled back, looking her in the eyes. "He was a liar, a con artist. You loved honestly. There's no shame in that." She wiped her eyes with trembling hands. "What happens now? Now we go home. Tomorrow you call a divorce attorney. And Monday we make damn sure Luke Reed never gets near my assets. Your assets or any other woman's trust ever again." Lauren straightened her shoulders. Even with mascara streaking her cheeks and rain plastering her hair to her face, I saw Linda in her. That same steel core wrapped in grace. My daughter was stronger than Luke had ever known. She would survive this. We both would. The next 72 hours unfolded like a legal avalanche. Lauren, with George's help, filed for divorce on Monday. Luke received the papers at work, the beginning of his unraveling. I sent the evidence to Tech Vista Solutions' HR department that same afternoon. Both videos. The financial records. By Wednesday, Luke was suspended. By Friday, terminated for misconduct with a colleague. Kelly Walsh resigned before they could fire her. 1 week later, Carol Reed appeared at my door. Luke's mother had always been polite, but distant. Now her face was tight with anger. How could you destroy my son's life? I didn't argue. I simply showed her the videos. She watched in silence. When the second video ended, Luke's voice casually discussing nursing homes and stolen millions, Carol's face crumbled. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I didn't know he could do this. She left without defending him again. 1 month after that Saturday at the Riverwood, the divorce was finalized. Lauren recovered $28,000 through court order. Luke left Portland, his reputation in ashes, unable to find work in the tech industry he'd once thrived in. Lauren threw herself into her career, the promotion she'd earned before all this became official. She moved back to West Lynn, temporarily healing in the home where she'd grown up. On a Saturday afternoon, I found her in my garage, the same space where I'd taught her to change oil at 16. She handed me a wrench, our old rhythm returning naturally. You saved me, Dad. You would have figured it out, sweetheart. I just accelerated the process. Why didn't I see it? I set down the wrench and looked at her. Love makes us blind, sweetheart, but pain gives us vision. Now you're wiser, and you'll never accept less than what you deserve. We stood together watching the sunset paint the Willamette River gold. Sometimes the greatest act of love isn't letting go, it's holding on and fighting for those who can't see the danger. Betrayal steals more than hearts. It steals futures. But family is the foundation no snake can weaken. Luke sowed deception. He reaped destruction. And Lauren, she emerged stronger, wiser, free. Looking back on this true story, I realize how close I came to losing my daughter. Not to death, but to something worse, a lifetime shackled to a predator. Some nights I still wonder what would have happened if I'd ignored that strange car in her parking spot, if I'd walked away instead of pushing that door open. Don't be like me. Don't wait until the evidence is overwhelming to trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. I should have confronted Luke the moment I heard his voice through that door, but fear paralyzed me. Fear that Lauren wouldn't believe me. Fear that I'd destroy her happiness over a misunderstanding. God has a way of showing us the truth when we're ready to see it. I prayed that night, God, give me wisdom. Give me strength. And He did. Not by making it easy, but by giving me the clarity to act strategically instead of emotionally. The lesson I learned from this true story: protecting the people you love sometimes means doing the hard thing, the uncomfortable thing. It means gathering evidence when every instinct screams to strike immediately. It means trusting that God's timing is perfect, even when yours isn't. These grandpa stories aren't just entertainment. They're warnings from those who've lived through the fire. Grandpa stories like mine prove that betrayal doesn't always announce itself with dramatic confessions. Sometimes it whispers through cracked doors. Grandpa stories teach us that sometimes evil hides behind charming smiles and perfect manners. This is my true story, and I share it, so you won't have to live yours the same way. If this resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to protect a loved one from a hidden threat? Subscribe to this channel for more authentic stories about family resilience and justice. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Your story matters too.